Good morning. I'm so thrilled to be back with you today on a terrifically good Friday. We are also grateful to be moving into the weekend. I hope you have some plans and intentions perhaps. There's still time. Speaking of time, let's get started with drawing in some deep breathing. We're going to start from the mat today, and since I left you with what I call bunny yoga, we're going to work through that series today, as well as the 8 pose sequence scheduled for today. So taking a few deep breaths, either from your knees or seated on your bottom or on your heels, drawing in, expanding the chest as you lift. Deep breath, inhale. Draw the abdomen in, exhale. We're just going to gather some energy this morning, today, whatever time of day you might be engaging. And it's early, or it may be the first movement you've had the opportunity to squeeze in or have time for. So I encourage you to make the practice your own and not strive or move beyond what your body communicates as well. I'm going to turn sideways and we're going to move into that hero position. So move my feet out a little wider. Here are the blocks I refer to frequently, and maybe you need to be seated on a bolster or pillow. As we do this, we're going to take one arm behind the head as we sit in this hero pose. The feet are detectably further away from each other. Deep breath, inhale, let's reach. Exhale, opposite arm reaches behind the head. Gentle support by this hand. I'm not pulling or squeezing the joint. You got it. Deep breath. Inhale. So what I mean by detectably is I've stepped my feet out a little wider. That rotates the hips inward. I'm going to remove a block as I come back down. And oh my, do I feel that greater stretch through. Hands are going to come behind the hips and we're going to open the head. Now these are all optional. I'm trying as we go to give modifications or progressions. Much of all this yoga can be modified to seated quite easily. So you can imagine being seated on a chair or a box. We're going to come all the way up and fold into the child's pose. So extending the arms ahead and pulling the hips behind. Relax the head through the arms without shrugging those shoulders. So I want to also give some of those variations from a seated position. A chair would give you more freedom if you wanted to take these positions from a chair. Child's pose can be done with the knees further apart to make space. That's usually more comfortable for people. Nice deep breath, inhale. We're going to draw all the way up and forward, lifting the hips, but you can also stay relaxed or from your elbows, that mini cobra, so that the angles of that back extension are softer. And I have a feeling I'm off camera, so just to be sure, return. And I'm going to move the block so we can pigeon. So I'm 1 foot forward. This is a great start to today's practice, getting some hip opening in variation where you can fold over. We draw one knee between the hands, the foot to the opposite hip, and then find that length. As you breathe, always the breath, always repositioning to get out of our own way. And bringing the hands, push upright. And if we can sweep that leg around, we're going to draw both feet together and sit really tall. Again, for a stretch to that inner thigh. There's not much to do than hold the pose and breathe. Letting things settle, melt. We're going to try and move some of the sediment that sits in our surfaces, our bottoms, our lower leg. Well done. Let's move back into our seated position, hero or otherwise, again, seated on those blocks if you need them. I will say the bolster and the blocks really help as you generally over time work the hero pose, just taking the feet out a little wider. You'll feel some tightness in the knees. Perhaps deep breath. Inhale the one hand to the opposite shoulder. Deep breath, inhale, opposite hand to back of the shoulder. Try to pull the head to upright. So notice my head wanted to drop. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, but we are trying to maintain our real estate. Own it. So keeping the head upright. Hands to hips. Come up, deep breath. Here's an extended variation of the hip opener we did from seated, so perfectly fine. Again, if you have the range, just remove the block and open the chest, but from the seated hips and that second variation to lift and open. Moving for the fold of our child's pose. So you can see how just picking 8 poses, positions, stretches on your own, maybe even doing a freestyle workout, knocks off the cobwebs and the nooks and crannies, starting and ending your day with some kind of intentional movement, making space also to reset our mind. We're going to come up, bringing the other foot forward for the pigeon to repeat on the other side. Again, not everyone's hip is going to fold or sit in this kind of modified split of the pigeon. So again, I describe, but I've never had the prop available, bringing a block to whatever height might allow you to do this with some support. It takes the load off my knees. Again, it is a tremendous stretch using props to assist wherever you are rather than contort, and certainly avoiding straining. I think we took this over on the other side. So let's do the same. Creating that extension. Again, you're only going to fold or walk to where your body will allow you. And then we're going to sit on our bum, bring that foot to the front for a butterfly pose. And then we're going to begin our bunny sequence. I think we have one more day. Tomorrow we'll add meditation. Go ahead and sit tall and then fold through. Maintaining the length of the spine. spine. Squeezing my feet together and holding is helpful. I'm going to let the head reach and relax. 3 breaths. So I shouldn't say we ever have to wait for that quiet, intentional breathing that meditation offers. I think more than ever, we need to focus on the exhale and create that space, a time or 2 or 3 during the day to just process whatever comes up. Frustrations in not being able to move how you like. So we're going to come back to our seated position. Deep breath. Another forward fold from that seated position. Here's what it looks like with the knees slightly open. I shared that there would be plenty of down dogs, up dogs when I posted last night. So here is our first downward facing dog and our first hamstring stretch. So the back of the upper legs is where your hamstrings are located. We're going to tease some length out of the leg. And you can see I'm pedaling the feet because surprisingly, they are settling into the mat, but they are tight. I'm going to tear that mat, let my head move between my arms. I'm gazing through my knees. Well done. And let's move into that upper push-up. You've heard me calling it high plank as it's referred to. We're going to keep the hips and abdomen binding through the glutes. Make sure you're using your breath to draw the abdomen in, reactivate, re-cue. Things start to kind of collapse. Push and project yourself up, extending the head over the hands. Strong legs pushing the earth away. I like to refer to binding the legs or wringing them out. And we're going to do the lower push-up, that chaturanga. So I want to demonstrate it first with the knees coming down. That's probably the safest for most of us. And coming into the hover. You can hold the hover as long as, again, the head and neck are freely supported. And then we'll move into that upward facing dog. And we're going to do that sequence one more time. Those 4 poses. And walk my hands a little closer to my hips. Draw my hips up, abdomen in without contorting or forcing. I want to give a shout out to all the teachers who must be particularly pleased. It's Friday. You are doing amazing things with the resources you have available, moving into child's pose. And I'm going to say that's true of everyone operating, again, with the resources you have available to you. It's all any of us can do. Show up wherever you are. Use whatever you have. Downward facing dog. So come onto all fours first. Find your neutral spine. Curl the toes under. Extend and bend the ankle. So there's ankle flexion. I'm going to lengthen if you want more or less. You just reposition the hands and feet. So this is where I've been finding my breath and my reset. Let's move forward into that upward push-up. So bringing the hips forward, elongating the body, create that yardstick, light body. And you know the lower push-up comes from lowering the knees. I'm going to show the full expression now. Bringing my hands beneath the shoulders. I'm going to fold into that chaturanga. I'm going to hold upward push-up. Again, using my legs, my glute. Every movement has a plank embedded in it. You can lower those knees and push into upward facing dog. And it all generates the same heat, no matter if doing upward or lower versions. All right, so we are going to move into our forward fold. So pulling into downward facing dog first and walking the feet in, and here's that forward fold. I'm extending the head and then relaxing. Your feet may or may not be coming to the floor. Soften the knees, find the stretch, make it your own. You could also come here. I'd say you could use phone books. I don't think we make those anymore, do we? But get creative. If you find something that is nearby that works, share with us how you're making your space work for you. Mid-fold, I'm going to bring the feet. So mid-lift or a half lift. Here's our forward fold, if you're not sure what the difference is. And then here's that half lift. And let's take it into mountain overhead. Arms. And if you need the hands on the back, you can support by pulling the hips down and drawing the ribs up. Find the horizon. And then here's our final version of the mountain. Letting the arms reach towards the floor as you lift tall through the head. And finding strength. These next four poses are rooted in strength. We're going to step into warrior. So my back foot moves back as I center in this split lunge. The foot on that back leg is slightly turned out, maybe a 30-degree angle. The pinky side of my toe tearing this mat into. And then you're just going to play with this depth, trying to keep the rotation of your hips and shoulders. Arms overhead if that bothers. Can you put your hands on your hips? Yes, please. Relax the shoulders if that causes discomfort. You're just going to work the lower body. Deep breath. Inhale, moving into warrior two. So the arms part ways and create this line parallel to our floor. And again, I'm still working the tearing of my mat in two as I keep the shoulders stacked over the hips. Easy breath. And we're going to take our reverse warrior, bringing lead arm towards the ceiling. I don't want to dump or collapse this knee. So again, keep the integrity of your scaffolding. And then we're going to step into a chair pose. So big step and come together, extending in your half-seated chair pose. Hips over heels, relaxing the shoulders, lifting the head, drawing the abdomen in to seal pelvic floor and squeeze your glutes. The quads are really going to to turn on for you if they haven't already in the warrior sequence. We're going to lift and forward fold again. Half lift. Let's come all the way down to our child's pose. Sit through the hips, extend the arms, relax the head. It's easy to forget the 5 breaths. So you hold these poses as long as you like. Let's come into our downward facing dog. We're going to repeat the warrior sequence one more time with the other leg leading. Draw the heels towards the mat to melt. Extend the hips towards the ceiling as you push the mat away and let your head relax in the created space, gazing through the knees. And remember, you can pedal the feet. It might be your outer calf, maybe even your shin, feeling this. Moving into upward, well, upper push-up first. We'll get that upward dog in just a minute. Preparing for the hover of the lower push-up. So again, really important, those hands are beneath the shoulders, whether knees are down or up, creating that stiffness in your body through the soft tissue hugging. Lower push-up, elbows draw into my ribs. I'm not resting on them, but I am hugging my arms into my chest. You can lower the knees. So even if you can do a portion of that lower from your toes, when it's appropriate, when you need, you gently set the knees down, or begin with your knees down before you chaturanga. Here's our upward dog. Moving the hands closer to the hip will prop you a little tighter angle. So moving through the hips, right, left, kind of rolling your thighs might give you, again, a little more rest or length to settle into. We're going to bring our toes under for the forward fold, walking them in and then setting your weight on your heels. You may need, again, to immediately come to a forward fold according to your flexibility. Here's the half lift. The closer your feet are down together on these two positions, the greater the stretch you're going to feel through your body. All the way up to mountain. Deep breath. Inhale. Some of these movements start to feel more familiar, I hope. By any means, it's not synchronized. We can't do and follow necessarily at the same time. Let's bring the hands down one more mountain. I'm going to really pull the feet apart. We have warrior again. So I'm going to move my block off the mat. And this time I'm going to step forward into my warrior. Again, turning the toe of that back leg. Watch that you're not locking the knee. Rotate the shoulders over the hips. Extend, lifting the chest, relaxing the shoulders. So hard to forget, we get all bunched up. Yes, that's kind of our resting, sadly, position. Find the depth of that warrior according to both your stability, balance, and flexibility. Warrior 2, here's what it looks like from that back side. Long arms. You might find more depth as we've been working through today's sequence. You want to tilt and tuck the hips, turning open but not reaching forward. So keep that stack. Moving into reverse. And the gaze is following the hand. Find the lift through the side body. And then chair pose, final heat. So I straighten up, I'm gonna come in, find my center. It's really important that the heels hold the earth, the hips hold behind. We draw that abdomen in, head, neck, shoulders relaxed. And then the arms can extend. Maybe you'll find greater depth in your chair pose. Maybe it's more of a stool pose. Just find your seat. And breathe. What a great way to generate some heat. The good kind of heat. Deep breath. Inhale. Long arm reach. And see the hands behind the back. If you'd like to finish on the mat, I will join you and wish you a very good day. May it be flawless in its imperfect execution. Show up for yourself. I'll see you tomorrow.